Hey guys, it's been a while. Yeah, so it's a couple of days before I leave for Australia. 6th December today. And just been packing my bags, fishing rod, other stuff, fishing equipment, and package arrived. It is not advisable to leave your scissors on your bed, guys, but camera mount. The Tasmania and Sydney vlog begins. Yep. Tayo rasa. And that's my first fish in the first minute of fishing outside the accommodation in the Sandy Bay area. So you can imagine when I caught it, I was like, yeah, this is gonna be good. Well, for the next few hours, there was nothing except for a big puffer fish that showed up. I tried to throw it some bait in a line to get it closer and it followed. But once it got to the piece with my hook in it, it swam away. Smart fella. After that, we grabbed lunch at Salamanca Market and the food was pretty good. There's some fresh miso butter scallops, currywurst dog with sauerkraut, and this interesting Afghan dish called mantu. Sort of like a dumpling with meat and covered with lentils, tomato, and yogurt. Pretty nice. We then tried our luck at a nearby bridge, but apart from a strong tick that broke my hook, nothing. Bridges are usually go-tos for species hunting, but I suspect the parts I was able to reach were too shallow and the current too fast. Day 2 promised to be better. Shark! Shark! Bam! That's one good hook. Pun intended. But first in the morning, I tried the same spot at the accommodation and got this.
Just gonna watch it.
Yeah.
Are you catching anything?
Yeah, here you go. Triggerfish.
Oh.
Wow. Okay. How do I bring this guy up? There we go. Then we went to Opossum Bay, a 30-minute drive away. The plan was to fish the jetty there to access deeper water as the area so far had been shallow and weedy. The plan worked. My grandma caught a 2-kilo version of that too. And I got another of those leather jackets. However, this was a rare time. I was not to be outdone by the person who taught me fishing. Okay guys, shark! Here! Just put him back. Alright, 3, 2, 1, go! Wow, splash me some more. Hey, bye-bye! Swimming away. Just like that. Bye-bye! Trembling man. I'm still shook. We took the Ras home for dinner along with 2 rock lobster we bought from a boat that had just come back from a trip. There was still time before dinner though, so I made a trip to the harbour to fish for some micros. Again, just testing out different habitats, this time a calm, rocky inlet that yielded yet another lifer. Ah, yeah, new species. New one. Good. Day 3, we visited Port Arthur, an iconic Tasmanian location that served as a high-security prison for British convicts. It was sort of a pilot ground for new ideas for the prison system at the time, such as classification and separation of inmates depending on their behaviour and demographic to help with rehabilitation. The idea of rehabilitation through simultaneous punishment and education was also a novel concept. We were led around by our guide, Mr. Jarrad, who was super knowledgeable and took us to a lavender farm where I tried lavender ice cream for the first time. Not great, for me lactose-wise and a little grainy, but it was tasty. And Australia waffle cones hit different. We also got to see some coastal sites like the Devil's Kitchen and the Tasman Blowhole. Super beautiful, and you know where my mind was. Well, Mr. Jarrad and I would be partners in crime in a few days to find out just what was swimming in those waters. Well, not crime, we fish legally, but you get my drift. Guys, legit, the struggle is real. Came here for dinner with my family. Look into the water. Don't know if you can see it. That's a new species right there. Okay, from now on, I'm going to bring my rod wherever I go, no matter what. See if that results in anything later on. Day 4 was a free day. You know what free days are for. The morning didn't quite go to plan. I had seen some damselfish shaped things around the docks the day before and decided to come the next morning to give it a shot. I ended up looking stupid for 2 hours with nothing to show for my efforts. To recover from that, I went to Margate Bay and got a decent haul. Here's a female of the same species as my very first fish, the blue-wheat whiting, which really looks quite different from the male. Got another male, then grinded through a bunch more blennies. I thought they were the same as the one I got from the harbour, but I would later identify one specimen as a new species with a very subtle difference. Oh, and casually I can say I caught another shark.
Same size, big. This one even bigger.
Yeah, this is bigger.
Again? Disappointment well and truly healed. So far, we had spent 4 days in the Tasman capital of Hobart. On the 5th, Mr. Jarrad then took us on a 3-day, 2-night tour up to the northern region of Launceston. More sights along the way, and a poster that really got my interest. Tasmania really has some of the best views of the sea I've seen. The weather was colder than expected, breaking a 50-year record in the summer to about 6 degrees when we were expecting 15 to 20, but I kind of liked it. What I liked even more is that when we stopped for the night at this town called Bicheno, Mr. Jarrad brought me to the local pier where I went absolutely ham. The fish were crazy too, wrasse after wrasse that evening and the next morning that added 2 more new species. I had a little trouble identifying them at first due to the many different colour patterns the same species could have, but it was a good puzzle. After the Bicheno session on day 6 morning, we went for a hike up to Wineglass Bay Lookout. Lots of steps, but so worth it. Then we went down to Coles Bay. Mr. Jarrad recommended I try the pier, while my family grabbed some coffee, and man was I glad I did. Apart from more senator wrasse, blennies and leather jackets, this beast showed up. You can really see how it's designed to hide in the kelp bed I was fishing around. After some homework, I managed to identify it as this. Another highlight was visiting an oyster farm, where we literally got into waders and walked out to waist-deep oyster beds. We also learned how to shuck them, and they were served with a red wine shallot vinaigrette. Yum! The tour guide was honestly the best I've seen with his fluency and knowledge, and really an inspiration for the level I'd like to bring FishX to in the future. Day 7 was chill. We left late in the morning to complete the drive to Launceston, where we took a look at the Cataract Gorge, which was beautiful. Torrents of water cascading down into the first basin that had actually been flooded a few weeks prior. The swimming pool had literally been submerged. A little leisure time before dinner, and I found myself back by the water, this time the brackish Tamar River. I tried everything, baits, lures, a mix of both, but not a single bite. But the Tamar wasn't the reason why we had travelled up to Launceston. Tasmania's second most populated city is also home to a prized game fish in its rivers and lakes. Helping me in my quest was Finn, a fly fisherman my age who has been working this finesse-filled technique for half his lifetime. Everything about it was new to me, wading into the river, chasing a freshwater fish, the casting technique, and the whole setup. As I had been warned, there was quite a learning curve, but Finn was so patient, helping to pluck my hooks from trees and keeping the hopes up after a few misses. Apparently, the fish listened to him too.
Come on, fish.
Under? Oh, still on.
Ah, yeah, I think it's under.
Oh! Come on.
Yep. Remember, trap that in your finger like
Yep.
that, and you just keep tight on him. Keep moving
Yep.
your finger like that. That's it. Good on you. Steering towards me. If he wants to go, yep. Put a bit more pressure. Do you want, or are you gonna stick? No, you got him. Yeah, you got him. Just play him gently.
Nice.
Oh, no, you're on.
Oh,
You got
hang
him.
on.
Keep stripping. I reckon he's off now.
Nope, still on.
You're
Still on.
lucky.
Still on.
Good
Still
on
on.
Yeah.
There we go. Another one. I know the mayflies are the ones that live a day, right? Oh, yep. Third one. A hat trick to remember, and my very first freshwater species after 180 saltwater ones. Finn and I exchanged socials after that, so Finn, if you're watching, you were incredible, mate. Good on ya. Before leaving Launceston, I tried one more time on the Tamar, to no avail, and was taunted by this sign. Over 100 species and I couldn't get one. Well, you can't win all the time. This brought me back down to earth. Then came the second, shorter leg in Sydney. Less sightseeing, more chilling, but still managed to do some fishing. We stayed near this place called Manly Beach, where I gave a few casts. It's a different experience fishing from the surf, as the current makes it harder to feel bites. After a day at the beach, my family was getting ready to leave when I gave it one last shot. Please don't mind my singing.
Mum! Mum!
Not a lifer, but a welcome catch for sure. We were actually off to another beach that I was excited to try out too, given it was a sheltered cove that likely held other species. But when I arrived, I saw this. $22,000 and 3 months of jail? Not worth it, even for me. Another market at Sydney Harbour. Paella, strawberry lemonade, Nutella donuts, and a galette, like a savoury crepe. We also visited the Sydney Botanical Gardens with some of the best skyscraper views. The trip was almost up, but for a final few sessions to squeeze in. Manly Dam was apparently one of the best freshwater spots in Sydney, with carp and Australian bass, but I caught, well, nothing. I guess freshwater needs some getting used to, and Finn really worked some magic. That meant that actually my fish count in Sydney was just one. Thankfully, not for much longer. And this definitely isn't me singing completely wrong lyrics to Traitor's Requiem from JoJo. No, couldn't be me. Okay, give me a break. There's really something about fishing alone on the beach and some karaoke, okay? I had returned to Manly Beach to try again, and I got 3 different species this time, including that darter. I realized that actually the fish were closer in than I thought, and had learned how to better detect bites, which made for a much more successful session. And then, the final flourish at Clifton Park Jetty. The day started pretty slow, with others catching silver trevally that I didn't have the right tackle for, and small bites here and there, until I struck into one and got a surprising amount of resistance. Another lifer leather jacket. Nice. This blenny might look cute, but actually has a gnarly set of fangs on the lower jaw, hence the use of the glove. I also spotted some fish hanging around the midwater and thought they might respond to sabiki. After they didn't, I tried some prawn and only managed to coax them after dropping a few couple pieces into the water.
Yes. What are you? Oh my gosh. So cute.
I ended the day catching one more lifer that looks almost identical to the butterfly whiptails that we have in Singapore, but this species occupies a different range. Another notable mention is this wrasse that I thought was new, but actually helped me solve an old fish ID puzzle from my trip to Brisbane 3 years ago. With that, my time was up. 14 lifers in total to push up to 185. Not bad considering that this was a family trip first, fishing trip second, and the unfamiliar spots with unusual weather conditions. And that's it for the video. Well, almost. Back where we started has grown out a bit. And if you'll be so kind to do the YouTube drill, that would be much appreciated. I'll just be putting up a montage of all the fish that I caught throughout the trip, as well as some musings along the way. So enjoy! We got a new lizard. Australian one. Good day, mate. Okay.